It's always contextualized, and it really helps students notice patterns within the language, and it helps practice their pattern recognizing skills outside the classroom as well. So it's quite a good learner autonomy skill. Often the inductive approach helps build teamwork, because students are usually trying to figure things out in pairs or group. And any type of processing really there's been a lot of research to show that this increased mental effort helps long-term memory. It also helps critical thinking skills like evaluating information, giving their opinions, and reaching conclusions. The other thing that I think is really crucial about the inductive approach is that it acknowledges the prior experience and knowledge that students bring to class. So they're never placed in that situation where they're able to just turn off because they think, oh, here we go again, I've seen it before. As soon as that thought pops into people's heads, things are shutting down. So you always want to make sure that they're not doing that. And through the inductive approach, that's really kind of the best way to do it. Okay, now let's take this a little bit farther for a minute. Okay, so these pictures, I love these pictures. They come from a website called the Museum of Bad Art. I don't know what's with these vampire women on the left as well. And I mean, how can you not dig that calf muscle of the discus throwing? Now, the reason I chose these is because I thought these were a really good example of how, if pure inductive approach is kind of left on its own, students are left to kind of discover things and create patterns and make conclusions, but a little bit on their own. And unfortunately, when that happens, you could end up with some very, very bad art. maybe some guidance from the teacher is actually quite important. And so this is where guided discovery approach of language stands apart from just pure inductive learning.
Yeah, it reminds me of that flawed logic thing. I was a philosophy major, and when we were learning about logic, my professor told me this one story about flawed logic, and he was suggesting that, you know, if you go to Chicago 2 years ago and it rains, then you go to Chicago the next year and it rains, and this year you also went to Chicago and it rains, you may come to the conclusion that Chicago always rains, right? And that really reminded me of what this, what your point was here, was that without some sort of guidance, students can create all kinds of interesting logic
and patterns.
Yeah.
Yes, and you end up with red eyes and black shoes and white socks on your discus thrower.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so hence, the Anti-Grammar Grammar book. All right, which is a great resource because, first of all, it completely embraces the idea of guided discovery. Second of all, gives tons and tons of clear activities to really help drive the point home. It really helps clarify what the heck guided discovery is because, you know, so far it's all theory. It really focuses on the fact that advanced students do not need extra long clarifications on form and more restricted form practice. What they need is to deepen their understanding of meaning and use, look at different functions that maybe they haven't seen before. And the book usually deals with highlighting meaning through contrasting 2 or 3 forms or tenses. And through that contrast, I was going to say contrastation, through that contrast, through that contrast, things are often made clear. You can see on the, see if you can, I don't know if you can see my cursor.
Yep.
Oh, I have a highlighter. Oh, I have a spotlight. Woo! Okay, so if you can see things like communicative practice, controlled practice, presentation. So some of the language here, you think, oh, hang on, that sounds a little bit like PPP. Okay, now it does sound like it, but it isn't, because presentation is still through the guided discovery approach. It's not the teacher standing up and saying, this is this, this is this. The presentation is still figuring out concept, function, use, that kind of stuff for themselves, but very much focused on the grammar. So what we're going to do also is see how it says Part A, Section 1, Presents. There's quite a few sections to the book, and it's present, past, and futures. And so we're going to do one activity from each of the sections to really drive the point home of inductive guided discovery. language presentation. Oh, let me get rid of my spotlight here for a second. Okay. All right, so my first question to you guys is, how simple is the present simple? So before we start, how many different time references can the present simple have? What do you think? Type your number in the question box. So which time, past, present, future, how many time references can the present simple mean?
Isn't the maximum number 3?
No.
No.
I just didn't want to give them all away.
It's interesting wording. That's how many time references. Okay.
What do you think?
We're getting past, present, future. 3 depends on the context.
Oh, love it. Absolutely depends on the context.
1.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we're going to focus on that a little bit later. And now my question is, how many different functions or uses do you think there is to the present simple? The present simple.
So in how many different ways do you use the present simple?
And again, I totally agree with who wrote "It depends on the context"?
Emily.
Emily, I totally agree with you. See how many contexts you can think of that highlight different functions or uses.
So, for example, I wake up every day at 7 o'clock is 1 use.
So we've got habits.
Right. So how many different uses are there?
Right.
Yeah.
Another one is, what is it? Does the sun revolve around the world, Tyson? Or
Well, some may have thought several hundred years ago.
That's right, that's right. So the world revolves around the sun at a certain rate is a scientific fact. So that's another use. So that's 2 uses.
Ida actually mentioned that one.
Excellent.
Yep. So we're looking for a number, people. How many different uses are there? Make a little list in your book and then count them all up. And
all right, we're just going to give you a couple more seconds because I will put you out of your misery.
Yeah. Many.
Oh, okay. Okay, we have
Very
clever folks.
Reporting about literature is usually done in the present.
Ah, okay, excellent. I like that. All right, okay, there are 13. Do we have some exclamation marks coming up in the question box?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not as mind-blowing as I thought. Oh, wow. Ida says wow.
Yep. Ida, you're right. I think that's pretty wow, too.
Jonathan says amazing.
Excellent. And there are 5 different time references. So there's 5 time references. And I know you're going to wonder what the heck what is different between past, present, and future.
Well, let's go find out, Tanya.
Yes, we're going to find out. Okay, now this activity that highlights the 5 different time uses and the 13 different functions or uses is called mini contexts. And I had to kind of reduce the scope of it to fit the time that we had for this webinar. So we're only going to look at 5 examples instead of 11 different contexts that highlight this. Okay, so here's where you need your paper and your pen. Please, on your paper, write down number 1 to 5 on the left-hand column. Write present simple at the top, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down the left side of whatever piece of paper you're using. Leave a bit of space. Okay, and answer these questions. Okay, so you can see for number 1, it's actually looking for a verb. So what verb is going to go in that sentence that finishes at 10 o'clock? All right, number 2, you can see little Q is a question, so you just have to answer the question. Okay. Number 4 and number 5. Isn't that a beautiful picture of Kamloops?
Were we there?
No, we were in Banff.
Well, similar area, isn't it?
Except for that big lake thing that wasn't really in Banff.
We passed by lakes.
Yeah, we didn't see Lake Louise, did we? No. And this actually is, I don't know, for all you literature buffs out there, but this is a genuine postcard from Timothy Findley.